700 light-years away, in the constellation of Leo, there's a planet that has captured the imagination of every astronomer who has ever asked the question, are we alone in the universe? Its name is K218b, and if the latest data is correct, this planet could hold the key to that question, and possibly the future of humanity itself. Why is this planet so special? Let's break it down. Could this be Earth too, a new home for life in the universe? Before we begin, let us know where in the world you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Drop it in the comments below and get ready for an epic journey through space. The discovery that changed everything. K218b was first discovered in 2015 by NASA's Kepler Space Telescope using the transit method, the same technique that has given us thousands of exoplanets. Here's how it works. When a planet passes in front of its star, it blocks a tiny fraction of the star's light. That dimming, barely noticeable to the human eye, is like a cosmic fingerprint telling scientists that a planet is there. At first, K218b was just another data point in Kepler's massive catalog. But then astronomers noticed something unusual. Its orbit placed it in the habitable zone, the Goldilocks region where temperatures could allow liquid water to exist. That alone made it worth a second look. 2 years later, in 2017, the Spitzer Space Telescope confirmed that K2-18b wasn't just in the habitable zone. It was a rocky planet or possibly a water-rich world 2.6 times the size of Earth and about 8.5 times as massive. That made it a super-Earth, a class of planets we don't even have in our own solar system. And then came the breakthrough. The first signs of life-friendly chemistry. In 2019, the Hubble Space Telescope detected something extraordinary: water vapor in K218b's atmosphere. That was the first time scientists had ever found water on a planet in the habitable zone outside our solar system. For astrobiologists, this was like striking gold. Water is the foundation of life as we know it. Without it, biology cannot thrive. The discovery of water vapor meant K218b wasn't just interesting, it was one of the best candidates for life we've ever seen. But the story didn't end there. James Webb's stunning revelation. Fast forward to 2023. The James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's most powerful eye on the cosmos, turned its golden mirrors toward K218b. What it found left scientists stunned. The atmosphere of K218b showed methane and carbon dioxide in significant amounts, an almost total absence of ammonia, and, most shocking of all, traces of dimethyl sulfide, a molecule that on Earth is almost exclusively produced by living organisms, especially tiny plankton in our oceans. Take a moment and think about that. A chemical linked to life, found on a planet 120 light-years away. Now, scientists are cautious. They're not claiming proof of aliens. Dimethyl sulfide could, hypothetically, be created by exotic chemistry or geological processes. But here's the kicker. When they ran the numbers, the Bayesian models gave a probability of 99.7% that K218b could support life. Not just maybe, not just it's possible, 99.7%. That's the highest probability ever calculated for any exoplanet. What makes K218b different? So, what is this world really like? K218b orbits a red dwarf star, cooler and dimmer than our Sun. To stay warm, the planet hugs its star at a close distance, completing one orbit in just 33 Earth days. Its star glows with a reddish hue, painting the skies of K2-18b in colors we've never seen on Earth. But this closeness also means it's likely tidally locked, one side in perpetual day, the other in eternal night. That creates extreme conditions, scorching heat on one side, freezing cold on the other. So where could life exist? In the Terminator Zone, the thin twilight band between day and night, where temperatures could be just right. A permanent sunset world, bathed in an eerie crimson glow. And remember, K2-18b isn't a rocky Earth twin. Many scientists believe it's a Hycean world, a planet with a thick hydrogen-rich atmosphere and a global ocean beneath. Imagine it, an endless ocean thousands of miles across, with no land, just water stretching forever under a dim red sky. Waves rolling in eternal twilight. Winds howling across alien seas. Could life thrive here? If life exists on K2-18b, it would be nothing like life on Earth. Without continents or sunlight strong enough for photosynthesis as we know it, evolution would follow a very different path. In the crushing depths of this ocean, far below the surface, creatures might cluster around hydrothermal vents, just like on Earth's seafloor. On our planet, these vents are home to entire ecosystems powered not by sunlight, but by chemosynthesis, using chemical energy to survive. Picture a world where organisms glow softly in the darkness, communicating with pulses of light or sound. Perhaps even developing biological technology, symbiotic life forms that serve as tools or weapons. Here, intelligence might not build machines of metal but living systems grown like coral reefs. And what about communication? Sound travels far in water. On Earth, whales and dolphins use complex sonar songs to speak across vast distances. On K2-18b, life forms might have evolved entire languages of echoes and vibrations, carrying knowledge, history, and culture through an alien ocean. Now, here's a question for you. If we ever detect a message from K2-18b, would we even recognize it as language? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The harsh reality. Of course, all of this is speculation. For now, we have no images of K2-18b, no direct measurements of its surface or oceans, only the chemical fingerprints captured by our telescopes. And as incredible as this discovery is, there's a cruel truth. K2-18b is 120 light-years away. With our current fastest spacecraft, it would take millions of years to get there. But distance has never stopped humanity from dreaming. The signals we receive from K2-18b today began their journey before Einstein wrote the theory of relativity, before airplanes took flight, before electricity lit up our cities. Who knows what will be capable of 100 years from now? 1,000 years? Because here's the bottom line. If life exists on K2-18b, then life is not rare. Life is inevitable. And that changes everything. And K2-18b is just the beginning, because the next world on our list is closer, bigger, and it might even be a water planet, orbiting a calm, ancient star just 137 light-years away. Get ready to meet TOI-715b. TOI-715b, the super-Earth in our cosmic neighborhood. Imagine standing under a crimson sky, watching a small, dim star glowing like a red ember in the heavens. The air is heavier, gravity tugs at your every step, and the horizon curves just a little more sharply than Earth's. Beneath that sky, oceans shimmer in hues you've never seen before. Perhaps black, perhaps deep violet, reflecting the strange light of a star that never truly rises, never truly sets. Would you live there? Could you survive there? Because this world, TOI-715b, is real. And it's only 137 light-years away. The discovery that sparked global headlines. The story of TOI-715b begins with a mission that changed how we search for worlds. TESS, the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite. Launched in 2018, TESS was designed to do something revolutionary, scan almost the entire sky, star by star, searching for the faintest flicker of light that might reveal a planet. It doesn't sound dramatic, does it? A flicker, a tiny dip in brightness, barely a whisper in the data. But to astronomers, that whisper speaks volumes. It says, "There's a world here. Look closer." And in 2023, tests saw that flicker around a quiet red star in the constellation Volans, a star now known as TOI 715. The planet orbiting it was designated TOI 715b. When scientists calculated its size, their hearts skipped a beat. This was no gas giant, no scorching hot Jupiter hugging its star. This was a rocky super-Earth, about 1.5 times larger than Earth. Then came the most important detail. Its orbit places it inside the conservative habitable zone. Not the wide optimistic band, but the strict, narrow region where conditions are just right for liquid water to exist. A rocky world, near enough for follow-up studies, sitting in the zone where oceans could gleam under alien skies. That is the dream of exoplanet science. And TOI 715b fits it perfectly. A year that lasts only 19 days. On TOI 715b, time moves differently. A single year lasts just 19 Earth days. Because the planet orbits so close to its star, 20 times closer than Earth is to the Sun. Imagine living in a world where birthdays come every 3 weeks. Seasons? Forget it. The concept of spring or autumn doesn't exist here. Instead, the planet may be tidally locked, with one side in eternal daylight, the other in endless night. Picture that for a moment. A blazing hemisphere scorched under a fixed red sun. A frozen dark side locked in perpetual shadow. And in between, the Terminator Zone, a thin strip of twilight where temperatures could be stable, where oceans might form, where life could cling to existence. Would you build your cities there in the eternal sunset? Tell me in the comments, where would you live? The fiery day, the frozen night, or the narrow twilight? The star that makes life possible. Everything about this planet begins with its star, TOI 715, an M-type red dwarf about 1/4 the size and mass of our Sun. Red dwarfs are the most common stars in the galaxy, making up about 70% of all stars. And this one? It's calm and ancient. That's critical, because many red dwarfs are dangerous. They spit out massive flares that could strip away atmospheres, sterilizing planets in their habitable zones. But TOI 715 appears to be quiet. Scientists estimate it's at least 6 billion years old, older than our Sun. Think about that. If life ever started here, it's had a head start of 1.5 billion years compared to Earth. On Earth, in that time, evolution went from microbes to mammals to modern humans. So what could 6 billion years create? Could there be intelligent beings under that crimson sky? Creatures who have already mapped their star system, who might look up at the night and wonder if we exist? If you think that's possible, drop yes in the comments right now. What would it feel like to stand there? Let's imagine for a moment that you're standing on TOI 715b. Gravity would be stronger than Earth's, because the planet is larger and likely more massive. Every movement would feel heavy, like carrying a weight vest everywhere you go. The sky? Dim and crimson, glowing with the light of a red dwarf that's much closer than our Sun but far weaker. Shadows would be softer. Colors would shift into hues our eyes barely recognize. If there are oceans, they wouldn't sparkle blue. Under that red light, they might look black as ink or dark emerald green. And if plants exist, they wouldn't be green at all. Green absorbs red light poorly. So these alien plants might be black, purple, or even reflective silver, evolving to catch every photon of energy from that dim star. Imagine walking through a forest of glossy black leaves under a sky the color of blood, hearing alien winds sweep across strange mountains. Or picture diving into an ocean where the surface glows with bioluminescent creatures, shimmering blue and violet in the darkness. Would you explore it? Or would you turn back, terrified of what lurks in the depths? Let me know. Could we live there? Here's the big question. If TOI 715b really is habitable, could humans colonize it? In theory, yes, if it has a stable atmosphere and liquid water. But here are the challenges. Stronger gravity would strain muscles and bones. Over generations, humans might evolve into stockier, shorter forms. A red sun means less energy. Solar panels would need to be huge. Plants for farming would need genetic modifications to thrive in dim light. Even quiet red dwarfs can flare. We'd need thick shielding, maybe underground cities or habitats beneath alien seas. And the biggest problem of all, distance. 137 light-years may sound close, but with today's rockets, it might as well be infinity. At our fastest speed, Voyager's pace, it would take millions of years to get there. Could future humans ride fusion ships, reaching 10% of light speed? That would cut the journey to 1,300 years. Still far too long for a single life, but not for a generation ship. Imagine a vast starship, carrying entire cities, entire cultures, drifting through space for centuries, knowing they will never see Earth again. Would you board that ship, knowing you'd never return? Would you trade sunsets on Earth for crimson skies on TOI 715b? Think about it. The most exciting twist yet. TOI 715b is amazing, but astronomers think there might be another planet in this system. A smaller one, even closer to Earth's size, possibly also in the habitable zone. If that's true, TOI 715 becomes a two-world paradise. A double chance for life, a double hope for humanity. Two habitable planets orbiting the same star. Two alien worlds waiting for us in the same cosmic neighborhood. And here's what excites scientists the most. Systems like this might not be rare. They might be common. And every time we find one, the odds of finding life go up. But we're just getting started. Because our next stop is a star system that has already made history. A system where not one, but multiple planets in the habitable zone have been confirmed. Planets so Earth-like that NASA calls them prime targets in the search for life. I'm talking about TOI 700, home to the famous planets D and E. And what you're about to hear will blow your mind. E700D and 2 is 700E, the multi-planet habitable zone system. Close your eyes for a second and picture this. A small red star glowing faintly in the night sky. Around it, not one, but two worlds that could host life. Two planets orbiting in the gentle warmth of a calm sun. Two possible Earths dancing in the same system. This is not science fiction. This is TOI 700, one of the most exciting planetary systems ever discovered. And what makes it so extraordinary is simple. It's the first system found by NASA's TESS mission to host multiple planets inside the habitable zone. That's right, not one, two. And today, we're going to dive deep into these two incredible worlds, TOI 700D and TOI 700E, the discovery that shook the exoplanet world. The year was 2018 when NASA launched the TESS telescope, the Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite. Its mission, scan almost the entire sky, searching for tiny dips in starlight that reveal planets passing in front of their stars. And in 2019, the data revealed something remarkable. A small red dwarf star, just 101 light-years away in the constellation Dorado, had several planets, was about 40% the mass of our Sun and only half as hot. At first, astronomers confirmed 3 planets orbiting this star TOI 700b, a small rocky world too close to be habitable TOI 700c, a slightly larger planet also too hot for life, and then TOI 700d, a planet orbiting right in the star's habitable zone. This was huge. For the first time, TESS had found an Earth-sized planet in the habitable zone of its star. But the surprises weren't over. In 2023, using additional observations, NASA announced a fourth planet, TOI 700e, and guess what? It was also in the habitable zone. Pause and think about what that means. Two potentially habitable planets orbiting the same star, only 101 light-years away. If life exists on one, why not both? Could there be two alien civilizations, separated by a few million miles, watching each other across their skies? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this possibility changes everything. The star that makes it all possible. TOI 700 is an M-dwarf star, smaller and cooler than the Sun. These stars are dim, glowing in shades of red instead of brilliant yellow. From Earth, it would look faint, barely visible without a telescope. But up close, it dominates the sky of its planets like a massive red lantern. Its calm nature is what makes TOI 700 special. Many red dwarfs are violent, blasting planets with flares and radiation. But TOI 700 appears quiet and stable, creating the perfect environment for life to develop over billions of years. And the system itself? It's likely billions of years old enough for evolution to run its full course. On Earth, life went from single-celled organisms to intelligent species in about 4 billion years. TOI 700 has had at least as much time, maybe more. So if life started there, it could be far more advanced than us. The first Earth twin. Let's start with TOI 700d, the planet that made headlines worldwide. About 20% larger than Earth, 37 days, a year, lasts just over a month by Earth standards. Distance from star, inside the conservative habitable zone. Scientists believe TOI 700d could have a rocky surface, perhaps oceans, perhaps continents. If it has an atmosphere similar to Earth's, temperatures could allow liquid water, the holy grail of habitability. Now, here's something fascinating. TOI 700d might be tidally locked, meaning one side always faces the star, the other in eternal night. That creates extreme worlds, a blazing day side, a frozen dark side, and a twilight ring, a permanent sunset band around the planet where conditions might be perfect for life. Imagine living there, a horizon painted in eternal orange and red, with a star that never rises or sets. Shadows stretching endlessly across alien landscapes. Would you call that beautiful or terrifying? Tell me in the comments. 700e, the newcomer that stole the show. Now, let's talk about TOI 700e, the planet discovered later, in 2023. This one is even closer to Earth in size, just 5% smaller than Earth. And it orbits a little closer to the star than TOI 700d, but still inside the habitable zone. Why is that exciting? Because now we have two planets, side by side, where liquid water could exist. Two chances for life. Two chances for intelligence. Two chances for us. Picture this. Standing on TOI 700e, you look up at the night sky. And there, brighter than our moon, is TOI 700d, an entire habitable world hanging in the heavens. Oceans, mountains, maybe even cities. Would you build a telescope and try to make contact? Or would you fear what lives over there? Think about it. Because if both worlds harbor life, their civilizations may have already faced that question. What would these worlds look like? Under a red sun, the light would feel dim and strange. Colors shift. Skies glow deep crimson. Plants, if they exist, might be black, purple, or silver, adapted to absorb every photon. Oceans? They could look black as ink or shimmer with bioluminescent life at night. Mountains might glow faintly under the eerie red starlight. And if life evolved here, it might be very different from Earth life. Eyes adapted to dim light. Skin or shells reflecting radiation. Entire ecosystems thriving in conditions we'd find alien, and yet, to them, we would be the aliens. Now imagine this. Both planets develop civilizations. Both invent astronomy. And one day they notice something strange, a moving point of light in the sky. Another world, another home. Would they wage war for resources? Or unite, building bridges across the void? Would we do any differently? Could humans live here? TOI 700 is 101 light-years away. That's far, but not impossibly far. With technology that achieves 10% the speed of light, a trip would take about 1,000 years. That means generation ships, massive star arcs carrying entire societies through the darkness. Cities floating in interstellar space, where people live and die never knowing a planet under their feet. Would you board that ship, knowing Earth would be gone from memory by the time your descendants arrive? Or would you choose cryogenic sleep, betting your life on technology that doesn't exist yet? Tell me in the comments. The James Webb Space Telescope is now studying these planets, looking for signs of an atmosphere. If Webb finds carbon dioxide, water vapor, or, best of all, methane combined with oxygen, that would be huge. On Earth, that chemical combo screams life. And if we detect something even more specific, like dimethyl sulfide, which we saw on K218b, that would change everything. Because if TOI 700 has life, and it's only 101 light-years away, then life is not rare. Life is everywhere. The big question: if one day we do reach TOI 700, and we find two living worlds orbiting the same star, two worlds filled with alien life, what happens next? Do we protect them? Study them? Or claim them? Would humanity become explorers or conquerors? History suggests one answer, but the universe might demand another. And just when you think this is as exciting as it gets, the next world on our journey will challenge everything you know about Earth-like planets. A world that was the first ever to be called an Earth twin, a planet that started it all. I'm talking about Kepler 22b. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. Kepler 22b, the first Earth twin ever discovered. Imagine this moment, December 5, 2011. NASA calls a press conference. The room is silent. The world is watching. And then they say the words that every astronomer has been waiting for. We found a planet in the habitable zone of a star like our Sun. The planet's name? Kepler 22b. And with those few words, the search for alien life changed forever. Because this was the first time in history that we confirmed a planet orbiting in the habitable zone. A region where liquid water could exist, around a sun-like star. Pause for a second. This wasn't science fiction. This wasn't theory. This was real. And it meant Earth was no longer unique. The mission that made it possible. To understand why Kepler 22b was such a big deal, we need to talk about the mission behind it. NASA's Kepler Space Telescope. Launched in 2009, Kepler's job was simple but revolutionary. Stare at one tiny patch of the sky, just 1/400th of the entire sky, and watch over 150,000 stars, looking for the faintest dips in brightness. Why dips? Because when a planet passes in front of its star, it blocks a fraction of the light. That's called a transit, and it's like the planet waving at us from across the galaxy, saying, "I'm here." But these dips are tiny. For an Earth-sized planet around a sun-like star, the dimming is less than 0.01%. Detecting that from hundreds of light-years away is like spotting a gnat crawling across a car headlight from thousands of miles away. And yet, Kepler did it. Over the course of its mission, it found thousands of exoplanets. But the one that made history first was Kepler 22b. The day humanity found its first Earth twin. On December 5, 2011, NASA announced that Kepler had discovered a planet about 600 light-years away, orbiting a star very much like our own Sun. The planet's name, Kepler 22b. Its star? A G-type main sequence star, almost a twin of our Sun, slightly smaller and cooler. The planet orbits this star at a distance of about 85 cents, a little closer than Earth's distance from the Sun. But because its star is slightly dimmer, the balance works out. Its year lasts 290 days, just a bit shorter than ours. And here's the number that sent shivers down every scientist's spine. Kepler 22b lies squarely in the habitable zone. The zone where liquid water, the most essential ingredient for life, can exist. For decades, we had dreamed of finding another Earth. And now, for the first time, we had something close. But how Earth-like is it really? Now, let's be clear, Kepler 22b is not Earth 2.0, at least not yet. For starters, it's 2.4 times the size of Earth. That makes it a super-Earth, bigger, heavier, and probably with much stronger gravity. If you weigh 70 kilograms on Earth, you might weigh over 150 kilograms on Kepler 22b. Could you walk there? Yes, but every step would feel like a workout under crushing weight. But here's the real mystery. Is Kepler 22b a rocky planet with continents and oceans? Or is it a mini Neptune, shrouded in thick gas, with no solid surface at all? We don't know. And that's what makes it so tantalizing. The atmosphere question. Atmosphere is everything. If Kepler 22b has a thick hydrogen-helium envelope, it might be more like Neptune than Earth, a world of crushing pressure and storms, impossible for life as we know it. But if it has an atmosphere like Earth's, rich in nitrogen and oxygen, then Kepler 22b could be a paradise. Oceans stretching for thousands of miles, clouds drifting across blue skies, winds whispering through alien forests. Imagine standing there under the light of a sun-like star on a world with double Earth size. The horizon curves differently. Mountains rise like titans. The sky glows a familiar shade of blue, or maybe green, tinted by gases we've never seen. Would you feel at home? Or would it feel like another universe? Tell me in the comments, would you step outside without fear, or with your heart pounding in your chest? Could life thrive here? Here's where it gets exciting. The average surface temperature of Kepler 22b, if it has an Earth-like atmosphere, is estimated to be around 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees Celsius. Think about that. Perfect for life. Perfect for oceans. Perfect for beaches where alien waves crash under alien skies. But what kind of life? If Kepler 22b is a Hycean world, an ocean planet with a thin atmosphere, life could swarm in its endless seas. Microbes, complex organisms, maybe even massive leviathans gliding through alien depths. And what about intelligence? If evolution followed a similar path, there could be creatures who have built cities, civilizations, even telescopes scanning the stars. And right now, they could be looking back at us. Would they see Earth and wonder the same thing? Drop a yes in the comments if you believe that's possible. The science that keeps us guessing. Here's why Kepler 22b is so hard to study. It's 600 light-years away. That means the light we see today left that planet around the time Leonardo da Vinci was sketching his flying machines. Even the James Webb Space Telescope can only do so much at that distance. We can't take pictures of the surface. We can't send probes. All we have is starlight, faint, fragile, carrying whispers of its secrets across the void. And those whispers tell us just enough to drive us crazy. Could humans ever live there? Now, let's talk about us. Could humanity ever reach Kepler 22b? At 600 light-years away, even if we built ships traveling 10% the speed of light, it would take 6,000 years to get there. 6 millennia. Longer than recorded history. That means generation ships, vast arcs carrying entire societies through the darkness of interstellar space. Imagine a ship so big it has cities, farms, oceans, even artificial skies. People born, living, and dying without ever seeing a planet, until one distant day, their descendants step onto an alien shore. Would you sign up for that journey? Would you trade the blue sky of Earth for the promise of an alien world you'll never see? The future of Kepler-22b. NASA isn't done with Kepler-22b. Future missions, bigger telescopes, space-based observatories, even starshade projects will hunt for signs of an atmosphere. If we find water vapor, methane, oxygen, especially together, that would be huge. Because on Earth, that combination screams life. And if life is out there, if Kepler-22b is alive, then the universe is not silent. It's singing with possibilities. The big question: what if we finally detect life on Kepler-22b? Not microbes, not bacteria, but something bigger, something thinking, something watching the stars like we do. Would we send a message? Or would we stay silent, afraid of what might answer? Drop your answer below, because this isn't science fiction anymore. This is the future of humanity. And as incredible as Kepler-22b is, the next planet on our journey is even more mind-bending. A world so strange, so unlike Earth, it might change our definition of what life even means. I'm talking about GJ1214b, a planet that may be nothing less than a steam-shrouded water world. April 17, 2014. NASA steps forward with a revelation that shakes the foundation of astronomy. For years, we've dreamed of finding a planet like Earth, not just similar, not just close, but truly Earth-sized, orbiting in the habitable zone of its star. And now we have it. Its name, Kepler-186f. And it's the first world ever discovered that is almost exactly the same size as Earth, orbiting where liquid water could exist. For the first time in history, humanity could point to a star and say, "There is a planet like ours." Why this discovery changed everything. Before 2014, most exoplanets we found were giants. Hot Jupiters, super-Earths, worlds too big, too strange to feel like home. But Kepler-186f was different. For the first time, a planet nearly the same size as Earth was sitting in the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, but just right for life. Scientists had been asking for centuries, are there other Earths? And with this discovery, the answer was no longer a dream. It was yes. The star, Kepler-186. Kepler-186f orbits a red dwarf star about 500 light-years away, in the constellation Cygnus. Now, this is where things get interesting. Unlike our Sun, Kepler-186 is an M-dwarf, smaller, cooler, and dimmer. It shines at only 4% the brightness of our Sun. What does that mean for its planets? It means the habitable zone is much closer to the star. Kepler-186f orbits at about 36 cents, less than half the Earth-Sun distance. And its year? Just 130 days long. Imagine that, 4 months per year. Would you celebrate birthdays 3 times as often? Or would time itself feel strange? Tell me in the comments. Would you like a 130-day year? Or do you love Earth's pace? A world bathed in red light. Because its star is a red dwarf, the light on Kepler-186f would be different. Step outside on this alien world, and the sky might glow in burnt orange and deep crimson hues. Plants, if they exist, might be black, soaking up every photon of that faint red light. Forests of shadowed trees, alien flowers shimmering in strange colors, under skies that never look blue. Would that feel beautiful or unsettling? Drop your thoughts below. The planet's vital stats: 1.1 times Earth's radius, mass unknown, but likely close to Earth orbit. 130 Earth days temperature. If it has an Earth-like atmosphere, it could be near the freezing point of water, but not too cold for life. Here's the big mystery. Does Kepler 186F have an atmosphere? We can't see it yet, but if it does, it could trap heat and keep the planet warm enough for oceans. The discovery process. The Kepler Space Telescope found this world using the transit method, watching for tiny dips in starlight as the planet passed in front of its star. The dimming was so faint, just 0.02% of the star's light. Detecting that is like spotting a gnat crawling across a stadium floodlight from thousands of miles away. And yet, we did it. This was a triumph of science and engineering, one that brought us closer than ever to answering the ultimate question. Are we alone? Could Kepler 186F host life? Let's get real. Could life thrive here? If the planet has oceans, it might look like an endless expanse of dark water under a red sun. If it has land, imagine continents covered in alien forests, plants adapted to dim light, perhaps black or deep purple, drinking in every drop of energy. And life? Maybe it starts in the oceans like Earth. Simple microbes first, then complex creatures. But here's where it gets fascinating. Because the star is smaller and cooler, it's also more stable for trillions of years. That gives evolution an almost infinite canvas. What kind of intelligence could emerge in a world like that? Would they build cities under a crimson sky? Would they look up and wonder if someone else is out there? What do you think? If intelligent life exists on Kepler 186F, how advanced could they be? Challenges for life. It's not all paradise. Red dwarf stars often flare violently, blasting their planets with radiation. If Kepler 186F has no magnetic field, its atmosphere could be stripped away. But if it does have a strong magnetosphere, life could survive, even thrive. Some scientists think the planet might be tidally locked, one side always facing the star, the other in eternal darkness. If that's true, imagine a twilight zone between day and night, an endless strip of red dusk where life clings to survival. Would you live there, in eternal sunset? Or in a world split between fire and ice? Could humans ever go there? Kepler 186F is about 500 light-years away. Even at 10% of light speed, that's a 5,000-year journey. That means generation ships, cryosleep, or technologies we can't even imagine yet, warp drives, wormholes, stargates. Would you take that risk? Would you leave Earth forever for a world bathed in crimson light? Tell me in the comments. The big picture. Kepler 186F isn't just another planet. It's a symbol, a promise that Earth is not unique, that the galaxy is full of worlds like ours, and maybe worlds better than ours. And if Kepler 186F exists, there could be billions more. Waiting, silent, alive. The question is, will we find them in time? Or will we vanish before we ever take that step into the stars? But we're not done yet, because the next planet on our journey takes this even further, a planet that might be older, bigger, and more Earth-like than anything we've seen so far. A world that could hold the answers to life's greatest mystery. Get ready for Kepler 62e and Kepler 62f, a double discovery that could change everything. Series The Ocean Beneath the Ice. When we dream of alien life, we look to the stars, to planets orbiting suns light-years away. But what if I told you, the best candidate for life beyond Earth might be right here in our solar system? Not on Mars, not on Europa or Titan, though they're good contenders, but on a world so small you could walk across it in a few days. A frozen dwarf planet, floating silently between Mars and Jupiter. A world that might hide an entire ocean beneath its icy shell. This is Ceres, and its secrets could rewrite the story of life in the universe. The Forgotten Planet, a discovery that changed astronomy. The year was 1801. Giuseppe Piazzi, an Italian astronomer, was mapping stars when he saw something unusual, an object moving against the background stars. It wasn't a comet. It wasn't a star. It was something new. He called it Ceres, after the Roman goddess of agriculture. For decades, textbooks called it the eighth planet, a new world added to the solar system. But then, more objects appeared in the same region. Pallas, Vesta. Too many for them all to be planets. So astronomers created a new category, asteroids. And Ceres, the first discovered, became just another rock in space. For over 2 centuries, it was forgotten, until NASA decided to visit. Enter the Dawn mission, a game changer. In 2007, NASA launched the Dawn spacecraft, powered by an ion engine like something out of science fiction. After exploring Vesta, Dawn entered orbit around Ceres in 2015, the first spacecraft ever to orbit a dwarf planet. What Dawn found stunned the world. We expected a dull, dead rock. Instead, we saw something no one imagined. Bright white spots gleaming in giant craters, like cosmic beacons. These weren't random. They were deposits of salts, left behind by briny water erupting from below. Yes, Ceres has cryovolcanoes. Volcanoes that don't spew molten rock, but water and salt, drawn from deep underground reservoirs. That means heat inside. That means liquid water inside. And where there's liquid water, there could be life. A world of layers inside Ceres. Ceres isn't just a chunk of ice and rock. Dawn's gravity data revealed it's differentiated, like Earth. That means it has layers. A rocky core at the center, an icy mantle holding frozen water mixed with salts, and possibly a briny liquid layer sandwiched in between. How much water? Ceres might hold 200 million cubic kilometers of water. That's more than all the fresh water on Earth combined. Imagine that for a moment. A tiny world, smaller than the moon, hiding an ocean big enough to drown entire continents. The case for an active ocean. Here's the exciting part. Ceres isn't just frozen solid. It's alive, geologically at least. We know this because of a Cater crater, the famous bright spot crater that looks like an eye staring back at us. At its center is Cerealia facula, a deposit of sodium carbonate and other salts. These salts didn't just appear billions of years ago. They're fresh. Some are less than 2 million years old, maybe even younger. That means briny water from deep underground rose to the surface in geologically recent times. Ceres might still be active right now, which means its ocean, if it exists, hasn't frozen solid. Could there be life beneath the ice? Let's ask the big question. Could life exist in that hidden ocean? Life as we know it needs 3 things. Liquid water. Ceres likely has it. Chemical energy. Time. Ceres is 4.6 billion years old, plenty of time for evolution. If Earth's deep oceans can host ecosystems powered by chemicals instead of sunlight, why not Ceres? Imagine alien microbes clustered around hydrothermal vents, feeding on minerals, exchanging strange chemical signals. Maybe they've been there for billions of years, silent, invisible, waiting. Would they be completely different from Earth life? Would they use DNA, or something stranger, something we can't even detect? And if we drill through that ice, what happens when 2 biospheres meet? Would we contaminate theirs? Or would they infect us? What do you think? Should we explore Ceres at all, or leave it untouched? Comment below. A day in the life on Ceres. Now imagine this. You're standing on the surface of Ceres. The sky above is black as ink, no blue, no clouds, just the eternal void. The sun hangs low, barely brighter than a star, casting a pale, ghostly glow across the icy plains. The gravity is so weak that you weigh only 3% of your Earth weight. A single step feels like flying. Your base is an underground cavern, carved from ice and rock, pressurized and lit with artificial suns. Outside, the temperature is -100 degrees Celsius. Inside, hydroponic farms grow food under glowing LEDs. You breathe air recycled from melted ice. Your city hums with life, engineers maintaining nuclear reactors, miners extracting salts for fuel, scientists planning the first cryobot probe to the ocean below. Would you live here? Would you trade blue skies for the black silence of space, forever? Tell me in the comments, yes or no. Ceres as humanity's fuel depot. Here's why Ceres could be the key to colonizing the solar system. Water isn't just for drinking. Water means oxygen for breathing, hydrogen for rocket fuel, and radiation shielding for deep space travel. Ceres could become the gas station of the solar system, a pit stop for ships heading to Jupiter, Saturn, or even beyond. Picture this: a network of refueling stations, robotic tankers ferrying hydrogen and oxygen to ships en route to the outer planets. Ceres isn't just a world, it's a future economy, a stepping stone to the stars. Future missions, the hunt for life. NASA's Dawn mission gave us answers and questions. It couldn't drill. It couldn't dive into the ocean. For that, we need something new: cryobots to melt through the ice, hydrobots to swim in the dark seas, drones that can survive pressure, cold, and alien chemistry. And here's the question: if we find life on Ceres, just a single microbe, what does that mean? It means life isn't rare. It means life might be everywhere, on Europa, Enceladus, Pluto, even on planets orbiting other stars. If we find life twice in one solar system, then the galaxy is alive. And so is the universe. But our journey isn't over, because now we leave the solar system behind. We set our course for a star 2,500 light-years away. A star with a planet that could be more Earth-like than anything we've ever seen. A world that might not just resemble Earth, but surpass it. This is Kepler 1638b. And it could be the closest thing yet to Earth 2.0. Kepler 1638b, Earth's mirror in the stars. For centuries, humanity has asked one question: are we alone? We've searched the skies, scanned the heavens, and dreamed of distant worlds where oceans might glimmer under alien suns. And then we found them. Planets like Kepler 22b, Kepler 62e, and Kepler 186f, all promising, all whispers of hope. But one world stands above the rest. A planet that could be more like Earth than any we've ever discovered. A planet orbiting a star in the quiet darkness of the Cygnus constellation, 2,500 light-years away. This is Kepler 1638b, and it could be our best shot at finding another Earth. The discovery that stunned science. It all began with NASA's Kepler Space Telescope, launched in 2009. Its mission: watch 150,000 stars for tiny dips in brightness, signs that planets were passing in front of them. In 2016, after years of silent observation, astronomers spotted something extraordinary. A planet larger than Earth, orbiting in its star's habitable zone. Its orbit takes 259 days, almost the same as Earth's year. Its star is a G-type main sequence star, just like our Sun. In other words, Kepler 1638b is a near twin of Earth. Not perfect, but close enough to make you wonder: could there be forests? Oceans? Cities glowing in the night? Could there be someone looking back? The star that gives it life. Kepler 1638b orbits a star very much like our Sun, but slightly older, slightly dimmer. This is important. Older stars are stable, long-lived, perfect cradles for life. And this one is quiet, no deadly flares, no wild outbursts. That means if life arose here, it had billions of years to flourish. While Earth was still covered in slime, could Kepler 1638b have grown forests, oceans, and civilizations? Imagine that for a moment. A planet with a head start of a billion years. What would that mean for evolution? For technology? For intelligence? Drop your guesses in the comments. Would they be like us? Or something beyond our imagination? A planet that could be another Earth. Now let's look at the planet itself. Kepler 1638b is a super-Earth, about 1.6 times the size of our planet. That means gravity could be 30 to 50% stronger. Mountains might be shorter. Creatures might be squat and muscular, built for heavy pull. It orbits right in the habitable zone, the Goldilocks zone, where water can exist as liquid. Its year? 259 days, almost the same as Earth's. Daylight would look familiar. The sky would glow blue under a yellow sun. But here's the mystery. We don't know its atmosphere. Is it thick with clouds, warm and tropical? Or thin and cold, like a giant Antarctica? Astronomers run climate simulations, And many suggest a temperate world with oceans and continents, maybe even more stable than Earth's. Imagine standing on its surface. You feel heavy, your body pulled down by stronger gravity. Above you, clouds drift in a copper-tinted sky. An orange sun hangs low, softer than ours but just as warm. The wind smells different, alien, sharp with minerals unknown on Earth. And in the distance, something moves in the trees. Would you run toward it, or hide? Alien life, what could live here? If life took root on Kepler 1638b, what would it look like? On a high-gravity world, creatures would be compact, strong, built for endurance. Forests might be low and dense, trees no taller than 10 feet, but with trunks thick as walls. Leaves could be dark, black or crimson, to absorb every photon from a slightly dimmer sun. Picture a forest at dusk. Black foliage glowing faintly with bioluminescent veins. In the shadows, creatures crawl, four-legged, armored, their eyes glimmering in hues we can't name. Above, winged predators soar, but their wings are short, their muscles massive, fighting against gravity. Would there be rivers filled with alien fish? Beaches where something like crabs scuttle under 3 moons? Would life here follow the same rules, or would it rewrite biology completely? Comment below. If you landed on Kepler 1638b and saw an alien creature, what would you do? Approach it? Or try to communicate? Could there be intelligence? Here's the chilling thought. If Kepler 1638b is older than Earth, life had more time to evolve. That means if intelligence is possible, it might have arisen long before humans even existed. Picture a civilization 1 billion years old. What would they be like? Would they still have cities? Or would they be beyond biology, beings of pure energy, roaming the magnetic fields of their planet? Would they ignore us like ants? Or watch us, waiting? Here's the scariest question. If they know about us, why haven't they come? Are they peaceful? Or do they have rules, like we do for nature reserves, never interfere with young species? Tell me what you think. Are they out there watching us now? The journey to Kepler 1638b. Now, let's talk reality. How do we get there? At 2,500 light-years away, even traveling at 10% the speed of light, it would take 25,000 years. That's 100 generations. A voyage across eternity. We'd need generation ships, self-sustaining cities drifting through space, children born and raised among the stars, never seeing Earth, never reaching the destination in their lifetime. Or we'd need something even wilder: cryogenic sleep, humans frozen for millennia, warp drives bending space-time, wormholes linking distant points of the galaxy. Do you think we'll ever build ships like that? Would you volunteer for a one-way trip, knowing you'll never come back? Drop your answer in the comments, yes or no. First contact, humanity's greatest moment. Imagine this. The first landing. A ship breaks through Kepler 1638b's clouds, engines glowing like suns. Below, oceans glitter like molten silver, stretching into the horizon. Mountains rise, jagged, alien, capped with green-black forests. The landing pad glows as the ship settles, dust swirling in low gravity. The airlock hisses. The first human steps out, boots sinking into alien soil. The sky is orange, the wind sharp, carrying scents no Earthborn nose has ever known. And then, something moves at the tree line. Eyes glimmer in the shadows. The explorers freeze. Are we the visitors, or the intruders? What happens next is the story of humanity's future. Colonizing Kepler 1638b, humanity's second Earth. Let's dream for a moment. What would it take to live here? We'd need orbital shipyards, vast stations circling the planet, building habitats. Cities would rise in valleys, domed to hold Earth air. We'd terraform slowly, plant engineered forests, release microbes to shape the atmosphere. It would take centuries. But imagine the reward. A second home for humanity. A world where sunsets paint the sky in crimson and gold, where new oceans whisper to alien winds. Would you live there? Would you trade everything for a life under an alien sun? Comment below. Would you leave Earth forever? The final question. Here's the truth. Kepler 1638b is real. It's out there, waiting in the endless dark. Maybe it's empty, a silent ocean world, untouched for billions of years. Or maybe it's alive, teeming with forests, seas, and skies full of strange wings. Maybe, right now, something is looking up from that distant shore and wondering if they are alone. We're not there yet, but we will be, because the story of humanity is a story of curiosity, of questions we refuse to stop asking. And somewhere out there, among the stars, is an answer. And when we find it, everything changes.